Can you give me a thumbs up? All right, can you give me a thumbs you can see it? Okay, great. Okay, good morning, seniors. It's Miss Silverstrand and Miss Lombard. We are zooming in to talk about financial aid and scholarships this morning. So I know we've started getting lots of questions. Some of you are already working through the scholarship applications, which is great. But today, if you haven't already started, we want to just give you an overview of the different types of financial aid, need-based aid, scholarships, and then how you can access those. Okay, so be sure you are paying attention and taking notes because this is an important topic. All right, for those of you who are still, I know some of you have heard back from colleges, some of you are waiting on decisions. If you are still working through your applications, there are colleges still accepting applications. So if you haven't started or you're still in the process and you need some support, let Mrs. Lombard and myself know. You will need to request your transcripts and other application materials. So if you haven't already done that, make sure that after you have submitted your application or while you are working on it, you are also looking at what materials are required. The high school transcript most colleges will also want that, and it's not an automatic process. You do have to request that. So scan this code for our application guide, which gives you all the instructions for how to request your transcripts through Naviance. If you need a letter of recommendation from a teacher, instructions for how to do that. As well as
local scholarships and stuff like that. So
if you need a counselor letter of recommendation, there are also instructions for how to do that. So make sure you're looking at that college application guide and staying on top of those requests. Make sure if you are getting a teacher letter of recommendation, you ask your teacher first and then make the request in Naviance, just so they're aware. And if you need a counselor rec, please talk to Mrs. Lombard or myself. We will also need you to fill out a questionnaire just to help us write the best letter we can for you. Okay, so now let's get to financial aid. So there's two basic types of financial aid. It can be put into two categories. There's your need-based aid and your merit-based aid. So need-based aid is going to be aid that you qualify for based on your family's financial situation. This is not something that you have a lot of control over, but the way that you qualify is you fill out the FAFSA. I am guessing many of you are familiar with the FAFSA. You may not be. FAFSA stands for Free Application for Federal Student Aid. It is a government form that you fill out every year that you are in college in order to see what aid you qualify for. Sometimes colleges will require you to file the FAFSA even to get scholarships. So it's really important to fill out the FAFSA. When you fill out the FAFSA, we'll go over the steps to do that in the next slide. But you'll fill out the FAFSA and you have to indicate which colleges you want to receive the FAFSA. So for example, let's say you apply to Mizzou and KU. You fill out the FAFSA. If you do not indicate Mizzou and KU on your FAFSA form, they will not get your information. So it's really important that you've also gone through the application process with those schools and received your admission decision. So again, if you haven't started, this is the time to make sure that you're going through and getting your application submitted so that there's time to review, get a decision, and then you can move on to the FAFSA. When you submit the FAFSA, each college will let you know what need-based aid, if any, that you qualify for. You might receive a grant. You might receive eligibility for a loan, or you might be able to do a work study program, which allows you to work a job on campus to earn money to help pay your tuition. A grant is money that you do not have to pay back. So that's great. Grants can come from the individual colleges, and they can also come from the state or the federal government. Loans are a loan. You will be allowed to borrow the money, but then after you graduate, you will have to pay that money back. And a work study program, again, it allows you to work an on-campus job and earn a paycheck, and some of that money can be used toward your college expenses. So that's need-based aid. Merit-based aid will be your scholarships. These are scholarships that you can apply for through various processes. And there are scholarships for academics, for leadership, for service, for athletics, arts, basically performance, talent, demonstrated effort. And these scholarships can come from, again, the colleges, they can come from different organizations, they can come from the state. We'll talk about A+ at the end of this. That's a great scholarship that's offered for Missouri, from the state of Missouri to Missouri students. Okay, so I want to jump into the FAFSA in a little bit more detail. This is the website that you go to, studentaid.gov. And normally the FAFSA is available on October 1st. This year, they are making some major revisions to the FAFSA. So it is not available currently. It will be available on December 31st. This is what we are told. So you cannot fill out the FAFSA right now for the 24-25 school year. However, you can begin the process by creating your FSA ID. And your FSA ID, your Federal Student Aid ID, is what you will need in order to sign your FAFSA form. This is going to be a really important login that you are going to need every year that you sign your FAFSA, every year that you're in college. And for those of you who are going on to graduate school, you will also use this FSA ID pretty much from here on out. So this is an important login to create. You might want to create it with your grown-ups at home, sit with them. The student, parent, and sometimes step parents are going to need an FSA ID in order to sign the FAFSA. That is something new this year, is that step parents may need to sign the FAFSA form. So make sure that you let your grown-ups at home know that. If you have older siblings, your parents may have filed the FAFSA before, but let them know that there are changes this year so that they are prepared for that. So create your FSA ID. We'd recommend you go ahead and start that process this month if you can. It won't take you very long to do that, but it will take a few days to process. So it's not an immediate thing that you'll be able to, do your FAFSA, get your FSA ID and sign it right away. So make sure that you are doing that. So our recommendation is that you start that during the month of December, make that your goal to get your FSA ID created, save that login info in a safe place. You will want to use an email address outside of your Webster Groves email because remember, you're going to need access to this information beyond your time here at Webster. So make sure you're using a personal email for that. After you've created your FSA ID on December 31st, when the FAFSA opens, make sure that you are completing the FAFSA for the correct year. You will be in college during the 24-25 school year. So make sure that you're completing that form. You'll fill out the information. February 1 is the Missouri priority deadline. So we really want you all to start and finish this FAFSA and get that submitted by February 1st. Just like anything, if you wait till the last minute, it can cause a lot of stress. So we recommend that maybe after the first of the year, make this one of your goals. You got New Year's resolution that's really attainable, and go ahead and get that FAFSA completed early in January so that you can have it filed into your schools by February 1st. And the reason for that is some aid, even if you qualify, it's first come, first served. So it's really important that you get that in by February 1st. All right, I'm going to turn it over to Mrs. Lombard now, and she's going to talk a little bit in more detail about where you can look for different scholarships.
Okay, hi everyone. I am going to talk a little bit about places for you to look for scholarships. So by this point, of course, some of you know where you're going. Some of you don't have any idea. And for a lot of you, it's going to come down to whether or not it's affordable for your family. So anytime a student or family asks me for scholarships, this is kind of where I start. So you always want to start directly with the schools that you've applied to. Each of the schools may evaluate you for scholarships based on your admissions information. So it could be that you were accepted to a college and they also offered you a scholarship automatically. Some of those schools may even have additional scholarships that you can qualify for, but only if you are able to apply for them. So if you've narrowed your list down a little bit and you know that there's 5 or 6 schools that you are probably going to choose one of those to go to, I'd encourage you to look on their website for scholarships. So look for freshman scholarships, look for incoming freshman scholarships. Those are some things you can put into the search bar on the school's website. And typically you're going to get instructions on how to apply for those. That could be an additional application with a specific deadline. It could be just kind of clicking a box and saying, hey, I plan to apply for additional scholarships. It can be for a lot of different things. So just make sure that you're checking with the schools you've applied to. Typically, your largest scholarship offers are going to come directly from the schools that you've applied to. After you've done that, we want you to start your scholarship search in the closest place to you. So that would be your school, your community, and then your region. So we are lucky at Webster Groves High School to have a lot of organizations that want our students to earn scholarships. So we have our website, our school website has our local scholarship applications available. So these are scholarships that are awarded by the Parents Club, the Rotary, they're by different alumni groups, Webster Groves firefighters, so all very local. So you're only really competing against other students that you're sitting in class with. So it is more likely that the time that you spend in these applications is going to pay off than maybe some of the other ones I'll talk about in just a second. So we always encourage you to apply for the local scholarships that are available to Webster Groves High School students. You can apply for as many as you want. It is possible and very common that students are able to earn more than one of them. And the applications vary quite a bit. So some of them may be just for students interested in education. Some might be for students going into a health career. Some of them might be based on your family's financial needs. So go through that list of the local scholarships. They're available now, and most of the deadlines are going to be in February. So just about 2 months or so to get those taken care of. We also usually are able to have some paper applications in our counseling department. So if you're having trouble accessing or filling that out, just let us know and we'll try to help you. There's also an organization in St. Louis called My Scholarship Central. It's a St. Louis graduate. So we love this organization because they're a nonprofit. They're not going to take your information and send it anywhere else. But their goal is just to access scholarships for students in the St. Louis area. So that's the second link there, My Scholarship Central. You can Google that and it'll pop up a list of scholarships that you can apply for as well. So that is really where you should spend most of your time, is with your schools and then your community looking for scholarships. There are lots of national scholarship search engines. I'm sure you've received emails from them or seen them on different websites and web pages. And they allow you to enter specific criteria to see if a scholarship exists for you. So it could be that you're looking for a scholarship because you're left-handed or you're a twin or whatever the case is. There are scholarships that exist out there. And so you are more than welcome to search for those. Your return on your investment in the time that you use for national scholarship engines sometimes may not be so great. So I would suggest that you kind of start on the left side with your school, and then with your Webster Groves High School, and then start looking at some of those national ones. So we, just be aware that when you are using some of the national scholarship search engines, oftentimes they will kind of send you a lot of emails and a lot of spam and that kind of thing. And you should make sure that you're also not putting any identifying information like financial records or account numbers or any of that. It should never cost you to apply for scholarships. So we just want to make sure that, it's clear. If it feels a little weird, let us know. We're happy to kind of help you sift through, what's real and legit and what's worth your time. Because there is unfortunately, some people who may try to take advantage of you. So that is kind of how to look for your scholarships. All right, so like Ms. Silverstein said, the A+ scholarship is sponsored by the state of Missouri. You all should be pretty familiar with this by now because we are always talking about it, but it's a great plan and can save a significant amount of money in college tuition. So if you have completed these requirements with the 50 hours of tutoring or mentoring, the attendance, the GPA, and the math proficiency, it will cover your entire tuition at St. Louis Community College, for instance, which is where a lot of our students go, but any other community college in the state, as well as State Tech, which is our state technical institution. There are some four-year schools, such as Missouri State and Truman State, that will give students who've completed the A+ program an honorary scholarship. So you might get $500 or $1,000 a year just having completed the A+ program. So if you have the hours and you have all of these things, we want to make sure you've got the form on file and that you have this on your transcript at graduation so that you're able to use it anytime you want. The A+ scholarship is available to you for up to 4 years after graduation. So as long as you completed the requirements in high school, you can always come back to the A+ scholarship in case you need it. So it's a great thing to have as a plan A, but also great for a plan B or even a plan C that you may have earned in high school. Okay. So just to kind of wrap up what we talked about today, some things you can do right now to make sure that you are set with everything you need for financial aid for college. Go ahead and create your FSA ID this month. That's a great thing that you can do with you and your family. Start collecting that information. And then the FAFSA should open during winter break, and the Missouri priority deadline is February 1st. So in order to access the most amount of money possible, you want to make sure that you get that in before February 1st. Scholarship applications are available. So just make sure that you are checking out kind of what is on that application, what you might need to have prepared before the deadline, so that you know kind of what's ahead of you in the next couple of months. So we know everybody's situation is different. Some of you are still, waiting to apply. You may not have deadlines till January, so it pushes us back a little bit. So please let us know if you have questions, you need any extra guidance or, any tips along in this process. All right. Thank you, everyone.